Hi, and welcome to this introduction to the new pay service from Basswire. This webinar will last about 25 minutes, plus 5 minutes for questions, and it will be uploaded to EC. I've started the recording, so you will be able to see this webinar once more if you wish to. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is René Nissen, and I'm working for Basswire, who is facilitating the pay service that you are about to hear about. My role is, as an activation specialist, is to invite Islington Council suppliers to the service. All questions that you may have during this webinar can be posted in the chat forum to your right-hand side, and I will answer as many as possible in the question section later on. Keep in mind that the pay service is only for suppliers who are already familiar with sending e-invoices, and it's completely optional. So let's get started. Just to be sure, the questions will be handled by Stephen, who is my colleague located in Brussels, and he will read the questions and we will take them at the end. Let's have a look at the agenda for today. First, I will start by going through the objectives of this webinar in just a minute. Then I will explain a bit about Basswire as a company. Who are we and what do we do? I will present the Basswire Pay service and how it works for both Islington Contempus users and for Islington's suppliers. I will provide you with links so you can find more information if needed. And finally, I will go through some of the most common questions, and after that I will try to answer the questions from the chat forum. There are three objectives, main objectives for this webinar. The first objective is to introduce the pay service to all Contempus users. What is it and how does it work? The second objective is to make sure that everyone knows what's expected. What are the benefits and how do we make sure that this project will be a success? The third objective is for Contempus users to understand and be sure that feedback and question will be approached. Please keep in mind that this is a pilot project and both Basswire and Islington needs to learn how we can improve the user experience with the pay service. Finally, we will use 5 minutes to address some of your questions that you may have. So who is Basswire? Let me introduce Basswire as a company very briefly. Basswire is a company that facilitates electronic transaction in an open business-to-business network called the Basswire Commerce Network. With the Basswire Commerce Network, it is possible for business to send and receive e-invoices. Basswire Pay Service is a new service that gives the supplier in the network an opportunity to get paid faster for a small credit card transaction fee. More on that later. Let me highlight that this project will only be a success for Islington, Islington suppliers, and Basswire if you help us by approving the invoices as quick as possible. Let us take a look at how the supplier uses the portal to type in an invoice, so you will get an idea of how the supplier works with the portal. How does the supplier type in an invoice in the portal? Well, first, the supplier needs to sign up for Basswire Pay. Remember that the supplier is already a user in the portal and have already used the key-in function within the portal to create e-invoices. Second, the pay service is activated by Basswire after the supplier has been approved. This will take about 5 to 7 days, depending. Third, the supplier creates an invoice in the portal using the key-in function. In just a moment, I will show you how that looks, so you will get an idea. After creating a new invoice, the supplier will select Islington as a recipient. The supplier fills out all mandatory fields. Filling out all mandatory fields are necessary before an invoice can be sent. This includes the buyer reference ID. And finally, the supplier sent the invoice to Islington. Now, let's see some screenshots from the portal to explain how the process looks from a supplier point of view. First, the supplier goes to the login page and type in his ID and password. Remember, he has already signed up for this, so he will know in advance. Then he clicks on Get Started to sign up for Pay. He will get this option after receiving the invitation by email. After filling out all information, he completes the sign-up process and will receive a confirmation within a few days that the pay service is active. Once it is done, all invoices will be pay-enabled. Now he's ready to use the pay service. So, from the main page, he then clicks on Create New. By creating a new invoice, he needs to select which company he will send it to. He therefore clicks on Select Recipient. The first time, he needs to search for Islington Council and mark it as a favorite. This is done by selecting the star. Then he clicks Select, and the next time he will get Islington as his first choice. It is important that he fills out all mandatory fields, which include the buyer reference. This is also called the buyer's ID. Otherwise, he is not allowed to send the invoices to Islington Council. The supplier then adds an invoice line to the invoice. He needs to fill out all mandatory fields here as well. After filling out all fields, the invoice is ready to be sent to Islington. Again, remember that all suppliers in the target group have already sent invoices via the portal before, so they know this. I also will share a link to a full guide on how to use the portal if anyone should be interested. Now we've seen how the supplier uses the portal to create and send invoices to Islington. As a little side note, I would like to mention that not all suppliers uses the key-in function, but they have their own automatic sender solution, but these are not in scope for this project at this moment. So let's have a look on how does Basswire Pay works from an Islington point of view. First, Islington will invite the suppliers that are already sending e-invoicing through the portal using the function called key in the Basswire portal. The supplier signs up for Basswire Pay if they wish. Please keep in mind that this is optional for suppliers. It is optional for suppliers to sign up. The supplier will type in their invoices using the keying function as I just showed you. The invoices will go through Contemples as normal. Nothing will change here, meaning that your work within Contemples doesn't change. Islington uses Contemples to approve the invoices. This is an important step because the faster the invoice is approved, the faster the supplier will get his money and the more happy they will be. This is one of the key elements for this project to be a success. The supplier will be happier by getting paid much faster than a normal payment period. Let's have a look at this process with some graphic on our next slide. First of all, let us assume that the supplier has received an invite. They have signed up for pay and that pay is now active. First, the supplier sent invoice to Islington by typing in the invoice in the portal using the keying function. Basswire delivers the invoice to Contemples. This is done several times during the day. Islington processes the invoice and approves it using Contemples as normal. The work with Contemples is business as usual. Nothing is changed here. MasterCard then facilitates the payment as soon as the invoice is approved. Again, the faster the invoice is approved in Contemples, the faster the supplier will get his money. Supplier will get paid faster for a small credit card transaction fee. Now, we have seen how pay service works for both suppliers and Islington employees. Let's move on and see how you can get even more information and help if you need it. How can Basswire and Islington project owner help you? Before contacting Basswire, you should go to the knowledge base and the FAQ to find answers to your questions. If you cannot find answers to your questions here, you are more than welcome to contact Bill or Basswire. Bill is contacted by email and Basswire is contacted by our normal support channel. The links for help and guides can be found on ISI along with all other information. Questions and answers. Here are some of the most common questions. Why is Islington Council offering the pay service to their suppliers? Well, the main reason is to get as many suppliers to send e-invoices and to extend payments while supplier receives payments faster. This will make the relationship between the suppliers and Islington much better because the supplier will be more happy. Number 2, are there any other benefits for Islington Council? Yes. Islington will get better control and more detailed information about supplier payments, which can be used for reconciliation in the finance department. 3. What are your role for this project to be a success? Well, we covered this already a couple of times, but let me repeat myself. As a Contempus user, you need to make sure that the received invoices are approved as fast as possible. This is crucial for this project to be a success. Number 4, what invitation message do we send to the suppliers? Well, we send a standard invitation message created by Islington and Basswire together. Here I will show you just a little bit of how this looks. This message can be found on Easy as well. Number 5, do all suppliers need to sign up for the pay service? No. Suppliers can continue sending old-fashioned invoices if they wish to do so. They don't need to sign up for pay and can ignore the invitation. Can a supplier disable the pay service if he changes his mind? Yes. If the supplier has signed up and activated the pay service but no longer wish the benefits from it, they need to contact Islington, who will contact Basswire, and the service can be disabled. Number 7. Is it only e-invoices that can be paid through the pay service? Yes, only e-invoices sent via the portal can have the pay service enabled. How can Islington see if the invoice is paid with the pay service? There is an indication in Contempus that shows the status settled when the payment is authorized to be paid enabled. For more detailed information, please refer to the Q&A, to the FAQ. Number 9. How can you see that a supplier, how can the supplier see if the invoice is paid with the pay service? As a supplier, you can use the portal to type in your invoices, and the document overview, in the document overview, there is an indication of the payment method. Let me show you an example of this. Here you can see an invoice, and the payment method is in process. When it's paid with the pay service, there will be an indication, a small icon here as well. So, number 10, what are the benefits for the suppliers? Well, it's quite obvious that the supplier will be paid faster. They will have better payment visibility with track and trace, and it will improve their cash flow. Number 11, when will the pilot period end? The pilot period is not set for any specific period of time at this moment, so I can't really answer that question right now. Let's open up for questions from the chat box. Stephen, do you have an overview if there are any questions?
Hello all. I do not have any questions yet, so if you have any, be my guest to type them in the chat box to the lower right corner. We do not have anyone typing yet, so I do not see any questions coming.
Okay. Should we just give them 1 minute?
Yeah, let's do so. We are well in time, so we are good to wait for a little bit.
Okay.
So to confirm and perhaps break the silence a little bit, to the lower right corner you will find a chat box where you can type your message. That question will be lined up for us, and we can discuss that aloud in the call here. We had 30 minutes foreseen. We are well in time. 5 minutes remaining. If there are no questions, we can close this down, and further questions can be relayed via the coordinates that were mentioned during the slideshow. You will also be able to go back to your contact person at Islington Council, whom will relay these questions to us.
Okay, so if there is no question, it can be maybe difficult to come up with questions on such a short notice. We would like to thank you on behalf of Islington and Basswire for your time, and thank you for listening, and have a nice day. Bye.